Are there any real alternatives to the Strait of Hormuz? Given the extreme vulnerability of the Strait of Hormuz, an obvious question arises: why hasn't the world built alternative routes? Many mistakenly believe that Arab countries have a guaranteed backup plan in the form of giant pipelines crossing the desert. Indeed, Saudi Arabia has invested billions in a robust network connecting its eastern oil fields to Red Sea ports. And the UAE has established a strategic outlet via a pipeline to Fujairah. On paper, this appears to be a global safety valve, but the technical reality pours cold water on these expectations. These land routes, despite their grandeur, are but a thin thread of steel compared to the vast ocean of fuel the world requires daily. The truth is that the existing pipeline network has a physical ceiling that cannot be exceeded. Even if all the pumps were operating at full capacity, these routes could not handle more than 20% of the total volume that passes through Hormuz. The remaining 80% of black gold will remain trapped in the Gulf, simply because there are no pipelines or sufficient pumping capacity to accommodate it. Any blockade of the Strait of Hormuz would mean an immediate halt to gas exports, causing an instant energy paralysis in countries dependent on this blue fuel. Ultimately, talk of alternative routes is nothing but a mirage to calm the markets. Geography is a harsh reality, and the strait remains the only neck of the bottleneck. Any obstruction there would turn projects costing billions into useless monuments, reminding us that the planet's thirst for energy remains hostage to 48,280 meters of salt water. The balance of global peace and interdependence. We have built spaceships and developed artificial intelligence, but our well-being remains hostage to the tranquility of these deep waters. The Strait of Hormuz is a reminder that globalization is nothing but a house of cards, built on a delicate geographical balance. Controlling this waterway dictates the rhythm of our times. Without it, the lights go out and the world falls silent. In this landscape, where brute force meets the tenderness of local life, we realize that peace is not merely a diplomatic concept, but the very foundation of our modern routine. Between the red sands and the silent currents, Hormuz teaches us that the fate of a futuristic city in Japan is inextricably linked to a fisherman casting his nets on these barren shores. In conclusion, the Strait of Hormuz remains the artery that connects our destinies, where the magic of nature intertwines with the fuse of war in a delicate geographical balance. Do you believe that technology will one day liberate the world from the grip of this waterway? Or will it remain the primary controller of our economy? Share your opinion in the comments. If this video gave you a new perspective, don't forget to support us by liking and subscribing to the channel to be among the first to discover the secrets of global power. Thank you for watching, and see you in another journey. Geographical challenges and navigational risks. If the islands of Hormuz captivate with their colors, the strategic geography of the strait commands awe and respect. Here, nature is not merely a backdrop, but the greatest ally of those defending these rugged, rocky shores. Imagine sailing in a corridor where every rock could conceal a radar, and every mountain crevice could harbor a missile battery. At the heart of this strait lie 8 strategic islands that act as natural, unsinkable aircraft carriers. The most important of these are Greater Tunb, Lesser Tunb, and Abu Musa, pieces of land under strict control, positioned with surgical precision, allowing for the monitoring of every ship long before it approaches. But the real challenge for the captains of giant oil tankers comes not only from what is visible. The climate of Hormuz is a volatile adversary. In summer, the salt water evaporates under the intense heat, creating a thick, oily fog that hovers over the surface. This is compounded by sandstorms from the desert that literally obliterate the horizon. At these moments, visibility is completely zero, even with the most advanced navigation equipment. Navigating a ship the size of 3 football fields through a channel only 3,218 meters wide is like trying to thread a needle during an earthquake. Any deviation from the strict course set by the United Nations could lead to a catastrophic grounding on the coral reefs or quicksand. The trap is completed by a wall of towering cliffs on the Iranian side, where underground cities have been carved deep into these mountains to house mobile missiles that can emerge, launch, and return to their concrete shelters within minutes. In this theater, geography reigns supreme. Controlling these waters and the 8,280-meter-long rock formations means having the power to control the pulse of the global economy. Military tactics and asymmetric warfare. In the geopolitical chess game of Hormuz, size doesn't always determine the victor. While superpowers showcase their aircraft carriers, which are veritable floating cities, control of these waters is exercised by something smaller, faster, and more lethal. Iran has mastered what strategists call swarm tactics. Instead of building massive and expensive cruisers, they have relied on hundreds of light, fast boats armed with guided missiles and heavy machine guns. Imagine dozens of these agile targets attacking a single warship from multiple directions simultaneously. The most sophisticated defense systems in the world simply cannot track and neutralize all these targets at once. It's a cloud of steel emerging from the bay and cliffs, attacking with surgical precision, then disappearing behind the coastal rocks. But the real terror that haunts tanker commanders lies beneath the surface. Sea mines are the cheapest and most effective way to paralyze the world. The arsenal here includes thousands of devices, from simple models from the last century to sophisticated, modern versions that can detect the acoustic signature of a specific vessel. Searching for mines in the Strait of Hormuz is like looking for a needle in a constantly shifting haystack, where the needle could explode at the slightest sound. Minesweepers are slow and fragile and need to scan every meter of water at a minimum speed, making them easy targets for coastal batteries. Just one explosion in the hull of a fuel-laden tanker would be enough to cause marine insurers to declare the strait a restricted zone. If insurers cancelled their policies, no tanker would risk transiting, and the global flow of energy would cease without a single cannon shot being fired. For those aboard these steel giants, navigation is an exercise in nerve control. The channel is narrow, and any attempt to veer towards safer waters could be interpreted as a violation of sovereignty, igniting an international crisis. And in the Iranian mountains, missile cities hidden underground remain on constant alert. Tunnels, stretching thousands of meters, made of concrete and steel, protect mobile batteries from air attacks. They can emerge, launch their arsenal against a target in the middle of the strait, and then return to their hiding places in a matter of minutes. It is a labyrinth where advanced technology finds itself trapped by geography and asymmetric tactics, a scenario in which the price of passage becomes prohibitively high for any adversary, proving that in this small stretch of sea, whoever knows every rock and every current holds the key to the global gas station.
33,000 meters of water.
That's all that separates the global economy from total collapse. It's the Strait of Hormuz, where the world holds its breath with every drop of oil. Today, we'll uncover the secrets of hidden missile cities and why alternative pipelines are mere illusions compared to the might of this geography. You'll understand how a few miles can control your fuel prices and the future of global industry. Don't miss a single second of this fascinating journey. Like and subscribe now to discover together what this deadly waterway holds. The vital artery of the global economy. Consider this scene: the Strait of Hormuz, 33,000 meters of liquid chasm where the global economy holds its breath. Here lies the precise geographical scar that separates the Arabian Peninsula from the Asian continent. Between Iran and Oman, the pulse of nations flows, as 30% of the world's oil passes through this narrow rift in a complex geometry of survival. From behind the shadows of Keshem and Larak Islands, Iran silently observes the scene, its missile batteries and radar systems tracking every millimeter of the passing steel. Here, the earth bleeds iron oxide. Look beyond the banks. Hormuz is not just an isolated waterway, but the external lung of entire nations. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates all unite behind a single outlet. For these neighbors, Hormuz is a lifeline and a shared vulnerability encased in the steel of ships, where every oil tanker leaving the port is a gamble against the blockade. The daily energy transit quota, the numbers don't lie, they carry immense weight. 21 million barrels per day, equivalent to 1.856 billion kilograms of crude oil, are forced to pass through a waterway no more than 33,000 meters wide. These are harsh standards, as 70% of this energy has a fixed destination: the Asian giants of China, Japan, and India. These superpowers feed through this liquid gully in shipping lanes no more than 3,000 meters wide, where an economy worth trillions of dollars is reduced to the precision of naval maneuvering. If this flow falters, inflation will erupt. If it stops, the world will plunge into utter silence. We are not talking here just about car fuel, but about the building blocks of modern industries, from plastics to agricultural fertilizers. The magic of nature and the beauty of geology. Sailing through the Strait of Hormuz, you don't feel like you're on a trade route, but rather as if you're strolling through an art gallery sculpted by geology. Here, the turquoise sea embraces shores in surreal colors, and Hormuz Island emerges like a rainbow painting, its sands ranging from bright yellow to deep purple, but crimson is the dominant hue. This crimson soil is rich in iron oxide, a dust so pure that locals call it jalak, using it in their cooking to season traditional bread with the very flavor of the earth itself. It's a way of life where humans and minerals walk hand in hand. Nearby lies Keshem Island, the largest island in the Persian Gulf, where time seems to have stood still in the Valley of Stars. There, thousands of years of erosion have created stone labyrinths that locals believe were carved by meteorite impacts. But living in this golden cage requires exceptional resilience. Summer temperatures soar above 50 degrees Celsius, creating an oily haze that obscures the horizon. Fishermen's villages, with their simple wooden boats, coexist daily with the sight of giant oil tankers passing just a few thousand meters away. For the inhabitants here, the strait is not merely an energy statistic, it is their backyard, their livelihood, and their most heavily guarded border. It is a tranquil life, yet marked by the shadow of a world watching every movement in these waters. In Hormuz, the salt and blood of the earth tell the story of a people who learn to find beauty in the harshest drought, between an endless desert and a sea that never sleeps.